Hello, and welcome to the Patients Getting Paid podcast, where I interview people with chronic illnesses that have found ways to make money that accommodate their health and experts that can teach us all how to do it better. I'm Kathy Reagan Young, host of the Patients Getting Paid podcast and creator of the soon to launch Patients Getting Paid online course. If you haven't already, head over and get on the waiting list to be the first to know when we launch the course. Sign up at patientsgettingpaid.com/list. Today's guest is Christina Mathers, a self-described Lyme thriver, mother, wife, and dog mom. She helps people suffering from Lyme disease by sharing her journey to recovery. She has a blog that focuses on supplements, treatment, dietary, and lifestyle changes. She is a chronicpreneur. Let's go meet her. Welcome, Christina.
Hi, thank you for having me on your cast.
Oh, thanks so much for being here. It's nice to meet you. We were chatting a bit before we hit record, and I learned that Christina is in sunny Florida, and I was telling her we just had some snow overnight here in Southern Virginia, which is a bit unusual, but it's really pretty. But she's a lot warmer than I am right now. um, so Christina, I know a bit about you because we've had some exchanges back and forth, but if you would please share the story of you, whatever you are comfortable sharing, your background, whatever makes you you.
Oh, I certainly will. There are a lot of things that make me me, but right now I feel like I'm a Lyme thriver. Myself, my two children, and my husband are all thriving with Lyme disease.
Unbelievable.
I was diagnosed back in 2014, so it's been 7 years, and I've been treated that entire time. My husband as well, and my children were diagnosed a little bit later, so they've been treated for about 2 to 3 years.
Gosh,
So,
I mean, is that typical? I know very little about Lyme. Is that typical, like within the family?
well, I never actually had a tick bite that I saw. I never pulled a tick off of myself,
Wow.
but
Okay.
my husband and both of my children had tick bites that we physically saw and physically had to remove. So, but I started when my children were young. My daughter's now 10. So when she was about 2 or 3, I was really tired. That was really my main symptom. And here I was a 30 something mother of 2 young kids. And I kept passing it off as, oh, I'm just so busy with these 2 kids. And little did I know that, 10 years down the line, I would feel better now than I did then, and being 10 years older. So
Wow.
it was definitely the Lyme that was making me tired.
Wow. We have similar stories because before I was diagnosed with MS, and my husband noticed like how incredibly tired I was. And I just said, well, I have 2 little kids. Like you're not here all day. You don't know what this takes. But he was right. It was more than mama tired.
Right. And sometimes
um,
you don't know that. You don't know what you don't
how
know.
would you know? Yeah. How would you know that? Right.
Mm-mm.
Um, so since this is the Patients Getting Paid podcast, let's get to that aspect of your life.
Sure.
Would you share your journey to chronicpreneurism? Because I know that you've got this wonderful website and everything.
I do. So with all my entire family basically having Lyme disease, it seems like the winters in Pennsylvania where we used to live affected him, my husband, and myself. More so him. He had different symptoms of Lyme than I did. So that Lyme affects everyone differently. So we just started looking, and I did a lot of research on the sunny days in Pennsylvania. And, we were in our house about 6 months out of the year. And then when it was warm, we couldn't really go outside because of the ticks. They were everywhere. We lived in like the woods of Pennsylvania. So we're outdoors people. We love the outdoors. And my husband's sister moved down to Florida, and she was sending us pictures of them on the beach in March and April. And I just started doing a lot of research on vitamin D and sunshine. And there seemed to be a correlation between people being happy and the number of
Mhm.
sunny days.
Yeah, imagine that.
So we decided to move down here. And before, let me back up a little bit. Before, when we were starting to decide to move, I did not work from home. I commuted about 40 minutes each way to
Oh,
work. My husband at that time was working from home, so he could accommodate his symptoms because he was struggling with those. And we kind of reversed roles. So I went to work because I was feeling better. Um, but I did end up getting a job where I could work from home full time. And that was kind of the gear that put everything in motion for us. And we sold our house and we moved within 2 months of me getting my job working from home. We moved to
and
Florida.
and so this was real geographic independence. That job, your home could be anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Exactly.
great.
And then my husband was also working from home. So we just thought we kind of were desperate at that point, for a change. And we just, our kids were at the right age to move. They weren't in high school. They were still in elementary school. And we took the work from home opportunity and we moved down here. And it has been the best decision we could have made for our family. I'm not
That's
kidding you.
great.
I would never know how much sunshine and warm weather would change your attitude.
Impact you mentally and then probably physically too, because the two are innately linked,
There.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you said you're outdoor people, and now you get a chance to do that rather than the 6 months of having to be indoors in Pennsylvania, right?
Exactly. You can be
Yeah,
outside all year in Florida, and we stick to the beach. We don't hike because of the ticks. I'm kind of a freak about that, as you can
yeah.
understand. So we stay away from the woods, even though there's plenty of it in Florida, but we stick to the beach.
Well, that's interesting, and I know we're here to talk about chronicpreneurism, but I'm so interested in everybody's afflictions, as it were. But Lyme, I would have thought that once you have it, like, what difference does it make if you get bit again? Like, can it compound? Can it make it worse? Oh, it
Yeah,
can. So
it
you're
can.
not immune. It's not a one and done.
No, unfortunately, my husband had multiple tick bites. And sometimes if you get bit once, maybe you don't have any symptoms, but then you get another bite, and then you may have stressful events in your life, whether they're physically stressful, like a car accident, or emotionally stressful, like a death or a divorce. And
Yeah.
those events can bring the Lyme symptoms back, and they
Mhm.
can be worse. So Lyme is never cured, but it does, where I am right now and where my husband is right now, it's in a remission state where I don't have active symptoms, and my immune system is healthy enough to maintain it under control without the use of any antibiotics or any other prescriptions. So,
Good.
but it could come back, but hopefully
Yeah.
with
But
stress.
you're doing everything to mitigate that. And how are your kids
Absolutely.
doing?
My kids are doing well. Physically, emotionally, mentally, you would never know there's anything wrong with them. But there's little things
Good.
that I notice, um,
Mm,
that only I would notice
a
because I spend
mom.
so much time with them. So they are still
Mhm.
being treated. Um, they get blood work about 4 times a year. And
Mm.
then every time they get the blood work, the doctor makes adjustments on medications and supplements and herbal drops, working together to help them get better.
So are you seeing, I know we're getting so far off track, forgive me. We'll bring it back, but this is so interesting.
That's
So
okay.
you referenced herbal drops and supplements. Are you seeing a mainstream Western doc for this, or are you seeing a naturopath, or who are
Uh,
you, or several?
we see two doctors. So we see a naturopath and then an MD, and they work together, um, to find us the best mix of prescription supplements and drops or remedies that work for us. So it's the
Good.
best of both worlds.
Oh, that's great. Not everybody is willing to work together and play nice like that,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
they're wonderful. They are amazing, so smart. Like, I thank my lucky stars that we found them. They came
Mm,
through a referral from one of my friends who had Lyme, and they've been amazing. They've given us our lives back. I can't say enough.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad y'all found them.
Too.
Um, so okay, you everybody's got Lyme. You both are able to work from home. You determined that Florida is the place to go. You do that. At
Mm-hmm.
what point are you starting this website? When are you becoming a chronicpreneur, and what does that look like?
So for me, I started the website about a year ago. I work full time,
Mhm.
and my goal is to. One of my goals was working from home was to be available to take care of my family if they should need it from Lyme or whatever the case may be. So I am a real caregiver. I've always been that way. I want to take care of everyone. So for me to find a job that would help me to do that in case something happened was awesome. So about a year ago, I started thinking I would really like to help other people with Lyme disease because there's so many different ways people are affected. And I felt like everyone's journey is unique. And I felt like if there was something in my journey that would help someone else, then I wanted to share that. And I would also eventually like to be able to not work full time and be able to help people that other part of my time, and just be able to help people with Lyme disease more as
So
well.
make that website and your patient advocacy your full-time job.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's the goal. I like it. And this is great because people can see then, how you can begin to make this transition. And we're talking about patient advocacy, and I'm confident that a lot of people, this is for chronic people with chronic illness. And I'm confident a lot of people are very interested in patient advocacy, and they've learned some things along the way and they want to help people. But I just want to make the point, this isn't only patient advocacy. I mean, this could be done for anything, a hobby that you want to start a website about, or you want to start a podcast about, or something like that. And like Christina's doing, so she's got her job and she is, starting I don't know, the side hustle that she hopes to then, grow into and take over for her job, which I think is a really smart way of doing things. And I know that you mentioned that this allows you an opportunity working from home,
Mhm.
and eventually working strictly for yourself allows you the opportunity to take good care of your family, but it also will allow you to take good care of you too, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that's really key. I recognize the impetus, especially as a mama, you put everybody ahead of yourself. So I
Mhm.
just want to point out to anybody listening that you don't have to be a mom for this to benefit you. Christina's putting herself on the back burner like all moms do, but it's definitely it benefits your life. That's one of the biggest perks to doing this is you can take care of yourself
Mhm.
too. Um, so let's talk about the impact of your business on your chronic illness. I mean, we touched on it a little bit that you're going to be able to take better care of yourself when you transition over completely. But I would imagine that's true now, just being able to work from home, right? Even though you're working for somebody else. I mean, we kind of advocate at PGP to find your own thing so that you're not reliant on anyone else and you're not, one of the things for me was sort of this heightened anxiety about what if they just have one meeting and decide to cut out a department that I happen to be working for. That's,
Mhm.
I'd rather have my own destiny in my own hands. That's why I like working for myself. I like being a chronicpreneur. But working even for somebody else, but from home, having this remote flexibility, I've got to think is so helpful to your health and the
Ab-
health of your family.
Absolutely. It gives me more time because I don't have a commute. I was commuting about 45 minutes a day, so that's an hour and a half I get back in my day just from driving. I don't have to buy clothes. I don't really have to shower.
Yay!
I rarely even answer the phone.
Mhm.
So it allows me the flexibility to be there for my family with doctor's appointments and sports and school activities, and um, it 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 gives me more time. I have time to exercise. I have time to focus on my website. um,
Mhm.
I which I don't think I would have the time for that if I was not working from home.
Right. Or even, the energy, because you can likely tuck it in
Hmm.
during the day when you have a lot of energy. Whereas at night, if you're coming home from a 9 to 5
Yeah.
and you got to make dinner and you got to help the kids with their homework, whatever, by the time you get to your business, you're too poop to pop.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's great. And so for right now, anyway, you've got the full time remote flexible
Mm,
gig
it is.
working for somebody else, but your venture to become a chronicpreneur is a side hustle at this point.
It is. Yes. I'm working on it. It's growing. I have, so my career, I worked from home before I did this job. So I started working part-time when my kids were really young, when they were
Mm.
babies and I was at home. And then I took some time off to be a stay-at-home mom. And then, like I said, my husband and I switched roles and I went back to work. So I've been doing what I'm doing a long time, and I want to help other people do what I was doing part-time from home, working from home. So that's something I'm going to be working on, is a whole series on how to do what I did. You don't need a degree. You can make good money part-time and you can do it 100% from home, especially with COVID right now. All the industry that I'm in is the insurance industry. I mean, everything is virtual. So it's a great time to
Mhm.
work from home and to
Jump
look for
in.
opportunities.
Yeah. So you're now referencing the full time job that you've got, and it's in the insurance industry. What exactly do you do?
So I review workers' compensation audits
Hmm.
for a vendor.
Okay.
So the vendor contracts with the insurance company to perform the audits,
Hmm.
which dictates the premium that
Mm.
businesses pay. So I review the audits to make sure that the numbers are correct, that adjustments were done. But I do that all from home. So
And was that something that the company you work for now trained you in, or was it a separate training that you sort of put yourself through? How does that work?
well, when we lived in Pennsylvania, I worked for an insurance carrier, and I did I did the audits. I was an auditor then.
Mm-hmm.
Gave me the foundation, and I was an auditor part time from home as well when my kids were little. So I took that experience that I got working part time, put it to use full time, and got the experience I needed to then move up to a reviewer now.
And so, if I understand correctly what you just said prior to this, you plan to incorporate that into your chronicpreneurism where you'll be training people how to do this?
Exactly. Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, we need to talk in terms of a joint venture here because that sounds great for people with, I mean, that sounds great for anybody, but certainly people with chronic illness. I mean, we know how important it is to be able to, have the time and take care of yourself. And that's the whole point of patients getting paid. I mean, we talk a lot about patient advocacy, but it really is about all the different possibilities, sharing the different possibilities of being able to be flexible and remote and take better care of yourself. That's the key. So
Mhm.
I'm very excited to talk to you about that in the future. That'll be great. And I think that's a wonderful thing to be, sharing with people. Once you find something that can work for you, and you learn how good it can be for you, and you realize this could help others, I really feel like that's an obligation,
I
to share it with others. So
I
that's
taught
the
my
basis.
husband that's what he did from home. I taught him to do audits,
Oh, very cool.
because I was a reviewer and he worked as an independent contractor for a vendor, a different one. And
Oh,
I taught him to do it. So if I could teach him to do it, I'm hoping I can teach others to do it. Um,
great.
so I mean, it's 100% flexible. It's 100% from home. You need a computer and a phone, and that's it. And Wi-Fi, internet, and that's it. I mean,
Mhm.
that's
That's
pretty
great.
these days. So
That's great. And is that like on a hourly basis that they pay you?
typically it is on an hourly
Fee?
basis, and you typically max out at a certain amount for each audit. So it just depends on the carrier. But
Okay.
it's a decent part-time gig for sure.
Good.
It's not, $10 an hour customer service. It's definitely way more than that. So
Okay. And it's steady income, which is the
Yes.
key. So
Yeah.
for right now, okay, let's flip a little bit and talk about your website now.
Mhm.
First of all, what is the URL? What's the name of your website?
It's www.livingwellwithlyme.com.
Okay. And tell me what you do there.
So I share my journey through blog posts about Lyme, finding a Lyme literate medical doctor, symptoms. I have a symptom checklist. I have how to remove a tick. I have the other section, which is my Lyme disease resources section, which has the supplements that I use, things that have worked for me, whether they're over the counter or prescriptions. I also have a separate section with all my gluten-free paleo recipes because I've had to go. My whole family had to go gluten-free because it helps with the inflammation in your body, and that frees up your immune system to fight the Lyme. So I have tons of tasty recipes that have been approved by my kids that are in
That's
there.
huge. Those are picky little buggers, those kids. So that
Mine,
speaks volumes.
but
Good. Mine were awful.
tons of recipes that are, I like easy, I like delicious, quick, easy, healthy, and that's what they are.
Excellent. So you deliver an awful lot of information to people.
I do. I try to, yes. And anything that I'm constantly writing blog posts. I'm constantly researching the newest Lyme treatments and blogging about them. I want to keep people up to date on what's available to them and in the Lyme community and for treatment.
And have you monetized that blog yet?
I
Or
have
that site?
I have a little bit. I have someone that is working for me. I'm creating a cookbook. And it has a lot of components in it, like a workout tracker, a menu planner. It's a whole 40-page cookbook that is really what I'm hoping will, when it's ready, will be the monetization that I'm looking for. I do have some affiliate ads on my website for herbal remedies and actually a blogging course that I took to get my blog off the ground. So I have those on there.
Excellent. So just to
traffic.
Okay, so to break that down, the cookbook, first of all, will that be like a book that you're actually sending out? So you're going to have to warehouse that and prepay for printing, or is this a downloadable ebook?
A downloadable ebook. Yes.
That's the way to go, my friend. Okay, that's awesome. So you can charge for that. That's great.
Yes.
You mentioned affiliate ads for herbal stuff. And so just to be clear for everybody, affiliate marketing can look like a lot of different things. In this case, I'm assuming, you tell me if I'm right or wrong, you are advertising, whether it's their ad that they're providing you, or you are reviewing something that they have that you're using of theirs, or you're just writing on behalf of them, you know, how great their products are, and you have your own unique URL, right, link to their products, and if anybody clicks on that link and makes a purchase, you get a commission on that sale. Is that fair?
Exactly. It doesn't affect the price.
Okay.
They
Right.
pay the same price, but I get a little bit of a percentage of that. Yes.
For your recommendation. Okay. Was there another way that you were monetizing?
Yes. The blogging course that I took.
Yes.
Yes. So I have that on there as well.
Yeah. So that's another great thing. When you find, this goes along with what we talked about earlier, when you find something that helps you, you know, you feel like it's your obligation to share. So, you know, we are like-hearted in that we're trying to help people find ways that they can work for themselves and take care of themselves, you know.
Excellent.
Live the chronicpreneur lifestyle, right? And so you found a blogging course that was great for you. You promote that same idea. They pay the same thing that they would pay if they didn't go through your link.
Right.
But because they did, you get a small commission for that.
Right.
Perfect. That's great. And so, and that's something you can continue to grow on. So, and build on. So, you know, more Well, when you do your own course, of
Mhm.
course, then you can be selling that. And if there are other courses along the way that you find that are a fit, and fit under that brand, you can be an affiliate for them as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's really unlimited. It's
it
really unlimited
it is
and fun.
unlimited. It's fun. It is. It's fun to look back a year ago and see where I started and see how far I've come. And I just know that I'm going to keep moving forward and provide
Yeah.
the resources for people to help them live, thrive with Lyme and other
Yeah.
illnesses. Because
Yeah. That's so good. I love it. We're like-minded for sure. Um, so how do you how do you market this site? How do you market what you're doing there?
so I have a sign up form on my website. When you go to my website, it prompts you to give your email address, and I send usually weekly blog post updates through the email. I also have a Facebook account. I have an Instagram account and a Pinterest account. So I also have um, information on there that I
Mhm.
use and I share. And that's for right now.
Yeah.
That's
So it's
far.
So it's you're posting kind of all over the place and you're gathering email addresses and then sending out like weekly blog posts. Um, have you done any advertising, like digital ads, like Facebook ads or anything like that?
I haven't yet, but that's definitely on my radar.
Mhm,
Especially with this work from home course, I think that may be the way to go.
mhm.
So that's definitely on the radar, but I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I think I know this next answer to this next question, but what do you do for health insurance?
So I do get it
You
through.
work for a insurance company, so I would I would hope I know the answer to this one, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I get group health insurance through my employer. My husband he works from home, so he doesn't have any access to health insurance, but I am very lucky to have the group health insurance with, um, I don't think you're aware, but Lyme medicines and Lyme and lab work are typically covered by insurance, which is
Mm,
great, but
that
the
is
doctor's
great.
appointments are not. So that
Right.
all out of pocket, and the herbal remedies are not covered by insurance. So
Mhm.
there has been a cost associated with treating my entire family,
I
but
bet.
it hasn't been as bad as it could because of the lab
Right.
being covered and the prescriptions
Right.
being covered. So
That's good. Well, I'm asking every chronicpreneur about their health insurance because that's that's a barrier to entry for a lot of people. Like they're just scared because it's been tied to our employer for so long. They're unaware that there are other avenues and you have not had to take a different avenue, but there are other avenues out there now, thank goodness. There's choices you can make and I'll be sharing more about that. And there's other people who are coming on who are doing that as well. So,
that would
but
be
I like to ask everybody to see what they're doing because that is kind of barrier to entry for a lot of people. That's one of the top questions that I get all the time. Like I'm interested in doing this, but how do I do it with I've got a health issue. How do I do it without a health insurance? I'm like, you don't have to. There's ways to get health insurance
and I
aside from
I would love to know about. I look forward to hearing about that because when and if I do take that jump, that is definitely something I need to make sure is in place.
explore. Yeah, definitely. Um, do you have a lot of support for doing this? Like, what does your husband say about your plans of eventually just doing the website?
Yep, he's supportive.
Good.
I will have to replace my income, my full
Mhm.
time income plus
Sure.
additional with the insurance.
For insurance. Sure.
He's supportive. He's super supportive and um, helps me whenever I need it.
That's
He
great.
helps me edit and reads through things, and
A
he's
true
very,
partner.
he
That's
is.
wonderful because too often I hear from people that um, their families and friends just don't really understand what they do. They don't understand what a website is, or like in my case, what a podcast is. I mean, they may even listen to podcasts, so they get what a podcast is, but they have no idea how magically they get made, and and how you make money doing that. So I think a lot of people will say, like, my family or my friends just don't get it. And that can be a little isolating, you know? And I
Mhm.
find um, that very true for me, and maybe in particular because I'm older, that none of my friends do anything like this and they don't speak the language. And so, in talking to people about doing this sort of thing, I end up talking to a lot of millennials. And it's kind of funny because they get me. They understand my language, but not
Mhm.
everybody else does. But that's okay. We'll band together. Um,
My husband doesn't understand the language either, but
mm,
my
but he goes
friend
along
who's
with it.
working on the cookbook, she understands the language and she's teaching me some things. So
Good, good. Takes a village, right? Do you have a legal entity set up like an LCC or sorry, LLC, or are you incorporated? Anything legal in place like that for your site yet?
I don't. I'm just a sole proprietor
You're
at
pretty
this
new.
point. I'm pretty
Yeah,
new. I do have a privacy policy and a disclosure in place on my
good.
website, but as far as anything else, I don't. I don't have
Okay.
anything as of yet.
Yeah. Well, let me just tell you that it's super easy to do. Don't be intimidated by that if you decide to do LLC. And I highly recommend it for
Okay.
folks in patient advocacy, because if somebody is litigious at all
Hmm.
and wants to be a jackass and say, well, I tried drinking turpentine because I saw something like that on her site one time. They can, which is just ridiculous. But unfortunately, we do have to think in those ways. And just to be clear, an LLC is a limited liability corporation, meaning that you're setting up a company that's totally separate from your personal assets. So nobody can sue you personally. They can't go after your house. They can't go after your money in the bank. They can't go after investments, none of that. So it's just keeping everything really separate. And it's actually surprisingly easy to set it up. I did it myself. I had some questions. It was all online, and this was 2007. It was a long time ago. And the questions I had, I called the state corporation commission, and these wonderful women walked me through it. And every year I have to send in, I think it was $100 to get it initially. And then every year I send in $50 to renew it. So,
That
and
sounds
then
like
don't,
something I should do.
yeah. And don't forget too, everybody listening, there are separate laws locally. And so you have to have business licenses where you live. Even if you're working from home, you still have to, they get you coming and going. You got to pay. And that's another $50 for me every year, but it's a super easy. I think I had to go to the commissioner of revenue to set that up one time, and then I just get a bill every year. So anyway, but those are all important things to do to be legal and to separate your business from your own personal assets. Um, so, do you have any apps or special tools that you find helpful either in your work or in dealing with your chronic illness that you could share with this community?
Um, I don't have any health related, but with my website, I use an app called Canva.
Oh, I love Canva.
Canva, I use that a lot.
Hmm.
Pictures, and you can pretty much create anything on there. You could create an Instagram post, Facebook, logos for your website. I mean, and they have it's free. You don't have to pay for it. They have
Right.
free stock photos, so you can just get started and see what's there. You don't have to spend any money initially.
And you
So
don't need to be a designer either, because I am the worst with that stuff. I really am. And I don't understand pixels and sizing and all that, but you don't have to. Now, I have been a user of Canva for lots and lots of years, and I've just become a pro with
yeah.
them. So I've stepped up and I purchased, which
Mhm.
makes all the difference in the world. But um, you don't have to know sizing, which was the killer for me, because I was forever, I thought I set something up correctly, and then I'd, bring it over to my blog site, for instance, and want to put that in as a graphic, and it would be way too big or way too small, and I just didn't get it at all. And now you can just choose like Facebook post, and it's got the dimensions all set up for you. So it is one of my favorites, my
Yeah.
favorite tools for sure.
Yeah, it's great. I also use for Pinterest pins, Relay That. It's
Oh,
um, it's an app that creates Pinterest
okay.
pins, and it's you pay a one-time fee and you're good for life.
Wow. I haven't heard of this one.
It's amazing. It's mainly, you can use it for social media, but you basically can drag a stock image in and it will give you 50 variations of that image and it'll do it
Wow.
all for you. It's amazing.
Wow. And so is that just for manipulating images, or can you actually schedule posts in that app?
That's just for images.
Okay. Got
Images,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's super helpful if you want to create a lot of pins, create new pins for a post. I know Pinterest likes new images. They don't like you to use the same images. So this is a good way to get around that and create new images. I mean, you can create 50 images in probably 10 minutes.
Wow.
It's
Wow. That's great. Do
mhm.
you use any kind of scheduling app for your social media?
I use a Google Sheet spreadsheet right now. I am
Hmm.
looking into Tailwind
Okay.
for Pinterest posts.
Yeah.
I don't use anything right now, but
Okay.
I hope to get to that point.
Yeah. I just got to that point and it has changed my life. I'm using CoSchedule, and I looked at all of them and they all have, good and bad things, but this was the most comprehensive, I thought. There were the most, you're allowed to schedule in the most, what am I trying to say? I need some coffee. Um, the most social media platforms
Okay.
are addressed by CoSchedule. Like, yeah, I could, post all over the place, and for me, it makes sense in my head because it shows me the calendar view, and then I can color code it for the different patients getting paid or for FUMS, whatever. So I can just at a glance see all of the different posts that I have, how far out you can post, years out, which is
Wow.
so nice because I will tell you one of the keys to my success I have found, and I think it has a lot to do with your chronic illness. You got to, when you're feeling good, you got to do the most, which is also going to harm you in the end if you just do too much. But
Yeah.
um, putting tools like this in place for you and batch producing. So if I can batch produce
Mhm.
podcasts and I can batch produce blog posts, and then I can batch produce, schedule all my social media when I'm feeling well, that gives me the room to take the breather and the rest that I need to. So I'm a big proponent for all of those things.
And that
I'm
was
glad you've co
co-schedule.
co-schedule. Yeah, I just started using it in the last month and I love it.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, it's really good. Um,
Sounds amazing.
it is really helpful. So what about with organization? What do you use to keep things straight? Like, do you use QuickBooks, or you mentioned, I think you said Google Sheets, maybe?
Google Sheets. I like spreadsheets, so I use Google Sheets to keep track of things.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot of expenses right now, so it's not a lot to keep track of.
yeah,
Um, but just for scheduling posts and things
yeah.
and pinning, I use the Google Sheets. So
Well, you're smart to start early. This is what I counsel everyone to do, is start early and stay organized, because that will dial down your anxiety enormously, especially when you get around to like tax season. If you can just, keep everything. I started in the last couple of years, I created a folder on my desktop called
mhm,
business receipts. And
mhm.
I just drag everything in there because then at the end of the year, it's all there. And I don't know well, I do know why I couldn't figure this out, because that's just not the way my brain works. But one day it occurred to me I could just take a picture of the physical receipts that I had and put them in there too, and go paperless. And it's been a beautiful, beautiful thing to have figured out. So now I'm telling you all my secrets because that's so helpful. But staying on top of the organization and your bills that are coming in and what's coming in and what's going out is so important, and all of your expenses and things, particularly at tax time. It just streamlines that horrible, horrible time of year.
It is, and it's coming.
It is right around the corner. So, what advice would you give to other chronics who want to do something more flexible or remote, either full time or as a side hustle? What's your best advice?
I would say number one, see if you can transition to work from home. If whatever you're doing now, a lot of companies that didn't think it was possible to have all their employees work from home were able to do it. So maybe go to
They're
your
doing it now, right? They had to figure it out.
too. So
Yeah.
go to your employer and see if that's an option. If not, continue doing that, but start working on whatever your side hustle is, if it's a blog or if it's just a part-time, whatever you can put into it, whether it's 10 minutes a day or an hour a day, just go at your own pace and know that these things just take time. And that's the biggest thing that I've had to say to myself, I guess, is I'm ambitious and a hard worker, and sometimes I just have to realize with everything I need to do in a day that I just can't make the progress that I want to. And like you said, keeping organized is the key. Writing down where I left off on my blog or whatever I was working on so I can pick up the next day whenever I have time, or that night when I have time is really important. But just take your time with it and just be patient. Know that you need to take care of yourself first, and just go at your own pace, go slowly, and you'll get there.
Yeah, great advice. And probably most importantly, just start, right?
Just go for it.
Yeah,
Nobody
go for it.
expects you to be perfect. Nobody expects you to be an expert, but just share your story, and if it helps one person or if it just helps you to vent,
Yeah,
go
right.
for it.
Right, exactly. Whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, again, we're talking in terms of patient advocacy, but whatever thing you want to do remotely, flexible work, starting your own website, podcast, whatever that is, about hobbies, whatever it is, I think the best advice across the board is just do it. Just get started. Just try. Just
Mhm,
try. And it's yours. That's the beauty of it. There's nobody breathing down your neck to tell you, there's a deadline on this thing.
mhm.
But get started.
Yeah,
Get
absolutely.
started. I love it. So if people want to learn more about you, your online business, where can they find you?
They can find me at livingwellwithlyme.com. You can use that on Facebook as well and Pinterest. So that gives me my information, my bio, the little tidbits about me. I'm also on Instagram, and I put some more personal information on there about just my daily life. So
Great. And if people want to see your blog, they can get to that too. That's great.
yeah,
So thanks so much for sharing your story with us, Christina. I wish you all the best in your chronicpreneur endeavors and in your health and in your life, and my best to your family as well. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
thank you, Kathy, for having me. It was just wonderful.
Thanks. Take care.
You too.